The following clip is from a Quran chapter analysis video I made that is a part of my broader, in-depth Studying the Study Quran playlist. Whether you are a Christian, Jew, Muslim, atheist, etc., I believe you will learn a lot about Islam and religion in general from watching this series. So please feel free to check out the full playlist by clicking on the end screen or the link in the description for it. Or if you're just interested in seeing the video that this clip was taken from, I'll provide a link and an end screen for it as well. But without further ado, here is the clip you actually wanted to watch when you clicked on my face. Enjoy. Alright, now the next verse I would like to read and discuss is verse 76, and this concerns the whole kind of, the finale of the Joseph story where, Joseph's brothers, they come to Egypt because they need food because it's the years of, kind of suffering and famine, and, of course Joseph has done a good job with stocking up grain houses and preserving food for people, and basically Joseph's brothers are coming to Egypt to get food to survive. And Joseph recognizes his brothers. Of course, they don't recognize him. And so when they try to, come and trade with Joseph in exchange for food, Joseph is basically like, hey, I see that you guys all want a portion of food for yourselves, but you're asking for an extra for some other brother of yours. How do I know this person is real? Bring this brother that is not here to Egypt, and then I'll give you the full measure. But until then, I don't know what to do with you, basically. That's kind of Joseph's attitude towards his brothers, because he wants them to bring Benjamin, Joseph's one brother who really wasn't so bad. He wants his wayward brothers to bring Benjamin to Egypt. And so they are like, oh gosh, okay, I guess we got to do that. And so they go back to Jacob, and there's this whole kind of conversation where they're like, hey, we need to bring Benjamin with us, otherwise we're not going to get the food we need to survive. And Jacob is like, he doesn't trust these guys. He feels like this is, the story of Joseph all over again. But he eventually relents, says, you can take Benjamin with you, and so that's what happens. So verse 76 concerns Joseph's plot to kind of, put his wayward brothers in a similar situation to the situation they put him in all those years ago. What happens here in 76 is Joseph's brothers and Benjamin, they're in Egypt, they're trying to, trade, for food and whatnot. And Joseph devises a scheme to put the king's cup in one of Benjamin's feed sacks. And the idea here is he's going to frame Benjamin as a thief. And secretly, Joseph kind of has this all planned out to where rather than Benjamin getting the normal punishment that is associated with thieves, Joseph will just be able to take Benjamin into his care. He's got this all worked out. But the idea here is that Joseph is wanting to force his brothers into, emotional and psychological and spiritual disarray. They're about to unwillingly this time say goodbye to one of their brothers. But they have no explanation for why the cup is in Benjamin's sack, so they have to be like, okay, well, I guess we're gonna have to let Benjamin stay with this guy who they don't know is Joseph yet, and they fear for him, and they're all kind of freaking out. But let me go ahead and read verse 76, because it's an interesting verse that actually has some interesting implications for the idea of knowledge. And so let's read the verse and the footnote associated with it and continue to discuss. Then he began with their baggage, before the baggage of his brother. Then he removed it from his brother's baggage. Thus did we devise a scheme for Joseph. Under the king's law, he could not have taken his brother unless God willed. We raise in degrees whomsoever we will, and above every possessor of knowledge is a knower. Now let's read the footnote. For we raise in degrees whomsoever we will. See chapter 6, verse 83. I'll see also chapter 40, verse 15, where God is referred to as the raiser of degrees. In the present context, above every possessor of knowledge is a knower, means that, although Joseph's brothers were learned and possessed of knowledge, Joseph had more knowledge than they, and that all knowledge ends with God, who is referred to as the knower throughout the Quran. This verse also has a more universal import and is often cited in a more general context by Muslim writers. It points to the hierarchy of knowledge and the fact that no matter how much knowledge a human being gains, there is always a higher degree of knowledge, the highest of which is God's knowledge. So I really like this idea of, a hierarchy of knowledge, and you see it very clearly in this conflict between Joseph and his wayward brothers, who again don't realize he's Joseph yet. Although it does seem that Benjamin at this point knows that Joseph is Joseph because, well, a few verses before this verse, Joseph takes Benjamin to the side and says, "Hey, surely I am your brother." But never mind that. Back to the knowledge stuff. As you can see here, the levels of knowledge are pretty clear. Joseph's wayward brothers have one level of knowledge of what's going on. They know that they made an oath to their father Jacob to not lose Benjamin like they lost Joseph. But they also know that there's this king's cup in Benjamin's, luggage. And while they know that Benjamin is not in general a thief, they're like, well, I guess we have to give him up because it looks like he stole this. What are we going to do? They have this one level of knowledge. And then Joseph has another level of knowledge, and that he knows that Benjamin is innocent. This is all sort of a plot to force his wayward brothers to come to terms with the errors of their ways. He knows what's really going on. He's really trying to get Jacob to also come to Egypt and have a great reunion. These are the things that Joseph knows. So he has more knowledge of what's going on than his wayward brothers. But ultimately, the being that has all knowledge is God, who's above all of this. And so he knows not only what Joseph knows and his brothers know, he knows what everybody knows. I like this idea. Ultimately, no matter how much you read, no matter how much you travel, no matter how many things you look into, ultimately you're never going to know everything because you're not God. If you were capable of knowing everything, then, well, you would be God, but you're not. And so it's always good to just remind yourself that above every possessor of knowledge is a knower.